Hello everybody and welcome back to Expert Examiner IELTS. My name is Glyn and in this video we are going to do some speaking test feedback for Duc Anh's speaking test. So let's get into it.
Good afternoon. My name is Glyn. Would you please tell me your full name?
So my full name is Duc Anh, but you can call me Duc Anh for short.
Okay, thank you, Duc Anh. Now, in this first part of the test, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. Where are you from?
Well, I'm from Vietnam and I'm currently living in Hanoi, which is the capital of Vietnam.
Cool, so nice fast start, very fluent.
Yeah.
And do you like living in Hanoi?
Actually, yes, because the life here is quite convenient.
Okay, the life is quite convenient. I don't know if we can describe life as convenient. Life is quite comfortable or everything is quite convenient, but some development could be good.
Because Hanoi is the capital of Vietnam, so there are a lot of restaurants and basic amenities. So
Okay, restaurants and basic amenities make life convenient, fair enough.
sometimes if I want to buy like groceries or some stuff like that, I just need to go, 10 or 12, 20 meters and I can arrive at the store.
Very well developed, so perfectly developed first answer there.
And what are some of the best places to relax in Hanoi?
Best places. I mean,
I like this best places. It's a natural response to a question.
I think you should go to the suburbs of Hanoi. So there are
Good impersonal you should go. Nice.
a lot of like
Suburbs is also a good bit of topic specific language.
amusement parks over there.
Amusement parks, nice.
Because like in the center there are a lot of buildings rather than amusement parks or something like that. So I think if you are energetic, so I highly recommend you to go to the suburbs of Hanoi. But if you love like
Little bit of repetition.
games or indoor games, you can play it in the center of the Hanoi of the city.
Okay, in the center of Hanoi, fine. I am just working a little bit to understand the pronunciation. So his chunking is good, his connected speech is good, his intonation is fine. The phonological range just seems a little bit strange, and I think we will mention that a few more times during this test. So while some aspects of his pronunciation are very good, just I noticed that I have to pay close attention to understand exactly what he's saying.
And is there anything you'd like to change about this city?
I think it'll be about about the air pollution. Like Hanoi Hanoi has a really bad air quality,
Bad. Bart. Bad.
and sometimes I am because I am allergic to bad
Great. I am allergic to
pollutants and bad air. So
bad. So it just sounds a bit bad instead of bad air, bad pollute. So of course sometimes we drop this T, right? So like for example, if I say they were bad noodles, they were bad noodles, bad noodles. But if we say bad at something, bad dat, we want that dut to come back. Let's just see what that sentence was again.
I am allergic to bad pollutants and bad air. So sometimes
Bad air. So especially bad pollutants is fine. Bad pollutants, we can drop that D. It's a process called elision. But bad air, that D needs to come in there. Bad air, because air begins with a vowel sound. We don't drop that bad air, bad air. So there is a problem hitting that final consonant, and we've seen on this channel this seems to be a problem with people from East Asia, that they can't always pronounce that final consonant, or especially if there's a final consonant cluster.
I just
Cluster means like 2 or 3 consonants together.
feel quite bad about my
Okay, we got the bad there, we got the dut there. So it's not a systematic error necessarily, it's not a repetitive error, it might just be a slip.
my well-being. So like if I had a chance to like change something about Hanoi, so probably I would move
Cool, so nice second conditional. If I had a chance, probably I would move. Cool.
all of the industrial zone to other provinces, so that like the
Cool. Industrial zones. We want that S to show the plural, but the answer is great. I would move all of the industrial zones to the provinces. Very great. Very good vocab there.
Hanoi could be, Hanoi could improve its air quality.
Hanoi could improve its air quality using could for hypothetical language. All very, very good range of grammar.
All right, now I'd like to talk to you about housework. Who does most of the housework in your home?
Actually, my mom for sure.
Cool. Very natural response to the question.
But like sometimes I still try to, dedicate some time to.
So he uses a lot, but I like this. It's a very natural filler to use. Many Elwyn users overuse this, It has a good effect here.
Help my mom do the household chores. Yeah.
And are there any
Do the house chores. It just feels a little bit disconnected or a little bit not natural. Just listen again.
Dedicate some time to help my mom do the household chores.
Dedicate my time to help my mum do the house chores. So I'm not quite getting that getting the full form of to dedicate my time to help my mum. So the fullest, the highest marks for pronunciation won't be there. Pronunciation is generally good. I like the way that he chunks, and his intonation is very, very good. As I mentioned, some parts of connected speech aren't quite there, and there's definitely not a full phonological range or a full range of phonological features. Yeah, not full.
Yeah.
And are there any kinds of housework that you really don't like doing?
I don't know. Probably it's about like mop.
Probably small. Again, you hear it.
Probably it's about like mop.
Probably is like. So that's, yeah, not an accepted form of pronunciation.
Mopping the floor. I mean, because like
But good language. Mopping the floor, very topic specific, very precise, good stuff.
my house is quite large, so like usually when I mop the floor, it would take about like.
It would takes. Did you hear it?
My house is quite large, so like usually when I mop the floor, it would take about like.
It would takes. So it's a small grammar mistake, and again, if it's in isolation, it's not a problem. But will we get repeated mistakes with such basic grammar? I guess we'll see.
30 minutes, actually not 30, but about 20 minutes. It is
So great natural reformulation, not reforming the language, but reforming the content. Very natural stuff.
I feel like it's such a waste of time. So
Great chunking. I feel like it's just such a waste of time, and good stress on time. Such a waste of time, and good intonation.
sometimes I am put off, cleaning the floor.
Not I am put off, but I put off cleaning the floor.
All right.
Put off phrasal verb meaning like postpone. Not do it now, do it later. I'll put it off until later.
Now let's talk about music. What kind of music do you listen to?
Usually I would listen to pop music. Actually there are a variety of genres, musical genre, but
Cool, nice topic specific language, musical genres, nice.
I just passionate about pop music because
Passionate about seems to be a favorite construction of many people. People love using the word fascinated and passionate about. I feel like it's overused by too many candidates, but okay, it's okay here.
I feel like the music is quite easy to hear.
Nice hedging. I feel like the music is quite very, very natural stuff.
The melody is quite catchy.
Melody is quite catchy, very topic specific language, good stuff.
So that's why.
And have your tastes in music changed in the last 5 to 10 years?
Actually, no. I mean,
maybe a little bit of overuse of this word actually. We get a lot of responses to questions with actually. Just a little bit of overuse.
actually, I have been trying some other musical genres, such as
Cool, I have been trying, so we get nice perfect continuous aspect. It shows good range.
rock or R&B.
Don't know if it's exactly. I have been trying. Yeah, I guess it could be appropriate.
Other musical genres, such as rock or R&B, right? R&B, but
RB, and he's not sure, and it's clear that his intonation shows that he's not sure. RB, right? R&B, rhythm and blues. I think, is it rhythm and blues? I think it's rhythm and blues, but R&B. So we have that N, R&B.
I feel like it is not as
bit of repetition of feel like. We've had that quite a few times.
Good as pop music. Because
Not as good as is a nice comparative structure. Again, grammatical range is good here.
they are sometimes I feel like it's not catchy and
And catchy, we've already used that word. I loved the word catchy the first time, but we don't need it anymore.
hard to relate to.
Hard to relate to is a good point. Can you develop?
Because usually like there are a lot of pop songs in Vietnam about love and family, and I can relate quite well to that. So
Good, very well developed, very well explained. Nice.
that's why I love hearing pop music.
Cool, nice cohesive function there. That's why I love pop music. Great.
Okay, thank you. Now, in this next part of the test,
all right, so first comments on part one. Answers are very coherent, develops very well, can speak at length, very nice vocab, topic-specific vocab, cool. Some small grammatical slips, but generally a nice wide range of grammatical structures. All very, very good stuff. I like the way he naturally responds to questions, like good stuff. Pronunciation is a mixed bag because we get some nice good intonation, we get some very appropriate chunking, we have aspects of connected speech, which is good, sentence stress is good, word stress is good, but it's just the phonological features, it's just that range, and that's like accent. And when we think of the accent, we think, well, how much of an effect does it have on the intelligibility of the speech? Intelligibility, well, intelligible speech means that when we listen to it, we understand it easily. And I would say that there is some effect on the intelligibility of the candidate's speech here, because I noticed that I just have to work. It's not that he can be understood effortlessly, he can be understood with some effort, but overall pronunciation is strong. I can see that this is a strong candidate, and I'm shaping up, I'm looking at 8s, maybe pronunciation is below an 8 for sure. Grammar, yeah, we're looking at 8s so far, but that pronunciation probably is going to stay at a 7, and so his final score is probably going to be 7.5. I think probably 8887 or 8787, something like this. But let's see how he does in part 2. We will analyze the question first of all. Let's skip ahead to the question. So you have to describe a time you were late for something. So again, this is a part 2 about past time. This invites you to use narrative tenses. Past simple, past continuous, past perfect continuous. Also allows you to show off your past modals, reported speech, all good stuff. Will we get that range of grammar? Also, we have opportunities for adverbs, sequencing language first of all, after that, then to my surprise, suddenly all of those good adverbials that we use in stories, and explain what happened. Okay, so let's see how he does.
To remind you, you will have between 1 and 2 minutes to give.
Yes. So when it comes to a time that I will late for something, I'm going to tell you about the time.
So that's not how we use when it comes to. We can't use it like when it comes to a time that I was late about something, I want to tell you about. You could say when it comes to thinking about the time I was late, the first thing that comes to mind is blah blah blah. But when it comes to I really love this when it comes to discourse marker, but it's not perfectly used here.
And I will late for my presentation.
I were late or I was late? It's just a slip, but let's just hear it.
Late for my presentation.
Sorry.
Yes. So when it comes to a time that I will late for something, I'm going to tell you about the time that I will late for.
That's twice now we've had I were late. The time that I were late for something, I want to tell you about the time that I were late for my presentation. So I use were in the question because you were, but I was. We don't want so many basic mistakes with we don't want so many mistakes with basic grammar.
My presentation.
Sorry, with basic grammar. That's the word I should stress. With basic grammar. Making mistakes with more complex grammar, okay, that's fine. But we really, at this level, if we're aiming for like 7s and 8s and 9s, we can't allow for too many mistakes with very basic grammar. But let's get back into it.
So actually it was about 1 year.
Get that actually again.
Ago. So at the time, I and some of my friends had to give a
So when we have when we have two subjects like this, like the thing I usually teach my students is that we can say my friends and I, or me and my friends. But I and my friends sounds a bit strange, even though according to the grammar, it makes sense to have that because I is the subject pronoun and me is the object pronoun. But that's just not the way we speak. My friends and I did something, or me and my friends did something.
presentation about some strategies to learn English during my English lessons. But like actually I was late for that because when I was when I from my home to the school, there was a traffic congestion, and it was
Good vocab, traffic congestion.
about like 30 minutes before the police kind of come there to ease
Past time came there, not come there, but okay.
the traffic jam. And then when I arrived at the school, my team were, the teacher kind of lowers our points by 3 points.
Did he say lowers in the present time?
The school, my team were, the teacher kind of lowers our points
Yeah, it sounds like he used lowers as present time. So again, this is talking about the past, and as a high-level student, you really shouldn't make those type of mistakes. We do have this in our language that we sometimes use present tenses for narratives about the past, but we have to be consistent. Either we use present tenses everywhere or we use past tenses everywhere. And it's no good if we start by talking about the past and using past time, and then suddenly we get things like, and then the police come, and then my teacher lowers the score. To me, that shows a lack of awareness of this basic grammar, that when we talk about the present, we use present tenses, and when we talk about the past, we use past tenses.
by 3 points. And after the presentation, I kind of had to apologize my friends and
Apologize to somebody, but okay.
also the teacher. And actually after this, I kind of withdraw a lesson for myself, which
Just didn't catch that, what he said there.
also the teacher. And actually after this, I kind of withdraw a lesson for myself.
After this, I kind of withdraw lesson for myself. So I don't know what that is, the breakdown in pronunciation or in coherence or in vocab, I'm not sure.
Which is always take everything into account. Like for example, if I'm
just losing the coherence. I'm not quite sure where we are in the story now. I know he was late for a presentation and then he had to apologize, but since then I don't know what's going on in the story.
if I have a meeting, so usually I would arrive at the meeting before 10 minutes or 15 minutes. But the lesson here is that
Okay, so he's talking about the lesson that he learned from being late.
I would always try to arrive at the meeting before 30 minutes rather than just 10
about 30 minutes before
or 12 15 minutes, so that it kind of so if there is something unexpected happen, I can kind of cope with.
If something unexpected happens. So we are breaking down with our grammar now. We had a very strong showing in part 1, but in part 2 that grammar is breaking down.
That effectively. So, and in the future, hopefully, I would, that would never happen again because I feel quite embarrassed for being late in that presentation. So yeah.
Okay, cool. I feel quite embarrassed for being late. Good. Thank you. All right, so end of part 2. So a little bit of a drop off in performance. So vocab is still strong. Grammar has broken down a little bit, but we've lost a little bit of coherence. Fluency is still fine, still developing, still able to maintain a decent flow of speech, but the coherence just dropped a little bit, where I found myself struggling to stay with the story, not because of mispronunciations, but just because the ideas were a little bit confusing. Pronunciation, pretty much the same problems as part 1, but the same strengths as part 1. So for me now I'm thinking, well, probably overall fluency and coherence is probably at a 7, but the lower end of a 7. That grammar has really fallen, I think, maybe to a 6, I'm thinking now, just because of the frequency. It's not a final score. Vocab is still up there with 8 for me, and pronunciation is still probably... Yeah, probably there are enough good features for a 7 on this. But so in this last part now, I really want to focus on this fluency and coherence to see if he can bring it back, because in part 2 he had some problems with fluency and coherence. But remember, when we give the score not on a single question, not on a single part, but over the test as a holistic mark. So I think his vocab will be good. I hope to see... Yeah, the two things I want to focus on, fluency and coherence, or especially the coherence. Can he answer questions directly, staying on topic and organizing his ideas clearly? And secondly, can we eliminate those basic grammar mistakes and get back up to that 7? Let's see.
All right, so you've been talking about a time when you were late for something. Now I'd like to talk to you about being on time. How important is it in your culture to be on time?
I think it is of paramount importance because
Beautiful. It is of paramount importance. Very nice.
actually can reflect your value and your personality
It can reflect your values, not your value, but your values. It's one of those nouns that's in this context always plural.
trait. I mean, like there are a lot of people in Vietnam who would judge if a person is late. They would judge
So we get nice relative clause. A lot of people who would judge if a person is late.
them as being irresponsible.
Would judge them as being. Very nice complex structure there. Would judge them as being irresponsible.
Right? And actually being immature as well. It may seem so
Cool. And actually being immature as well. So perfect cohesion.
a little bit exaggerated, but actually it is.
Cool. So going off on a small tangent, but coming back. Nice. It's very natural.
So if you want to come across as a good, responsible person, so
Cool. Come across as just perfect vocab here.
you should be punctual on a meeting or on a meeting, something like that.
And do you think people were more or less punctual in the past?
I think they are more punctual right now because, for example, like the transportation has been improved immensely, right? So
has been improved immensely. Love it.
For example, in the past, many Vietnamese would use bicycle.
Many Vietnamese would using would as this modal, talking about past habits. Very nice.
To arrive at the meeting, for example, and usually like it is quite slow, right? So maybe there would be some unexpected situation happen, and then they would be late for that meeting. But currently, like the chamber station public chamber station has been.
What is this chamber station vehicle? I'm not sure what this is.
Currently, like the chamber station vehicle,
chamber station vehicle, chamber station.
Public chamber station has been.
Chamber station public transportation. Yeah, strange.
Immensely improved. So
immensely improved. Okay, a bit of repetition of the language. I loved it the first time. I don't like it when it's repeated so quickly.
Like you can like arrive at the meeting just in.
Also get arrive at a meeting. We get that so many times during this test and during this part. Arrive at a meeting.
Maybe 15 or 20 minutes. It is much faster compared to the past. So
much faster compared to the past. Very, very nice participle there.
Like the possibility of being late for a meeting, let's say, is much lower.
Cool, the possibility is much lower. Beautiful comparative language. There's a lot to like, a lot of positive features.
What advice would you give to a person who's always late?
Who's always late? That's tough. I think it's...
So remember, it's a question of advice, and so, I would advise them to, or I would recommend them to, or I think they should, or they absolutely have to. All of that is good functional language to report advice.
More about like mindset changing. I would say something is kind of change.
Mindset changing, nice. Maybe a change of mindset is probably a bit more natural.
The mindset, because actually, like personally, I am usually late for an important meeting, And
Okay, but we don't want to go too much into personal things here. We want to focus on the question. The question is, what advice would you give to someone who is always late? So you need to give tips, recommendations, or something like this.
I always think like because I always think that if I arrive at the meeting soon, so there are still a lot of free time, and hardly can I do anything during those free time.
Okay, but it's more about you and about you being late, but we need to get back to this question.
And I feel it is such a waste of time. That's how I think, and I think that there are a lot of Vietnamese also have the same thinking like that.
Okay, there are a lot of Vietnamese who have the same thinking. So far he's explained that, a lot of people are late because if they arrive too early, they feel like it's a waste of time. But the question is, what advice would you give to someone who's always late, rather than can you explain some reasons why Vietnamese people are often late?
But I think like my advice would be like
Okay, so we have got back to the topic. So that's good skill there, showing that when you go off topic, that you can pull it back and get back on topic.
during if you arrive early in the meeting, you would be like the rewards that you have is much greater than the time that you.
Yeah, it's not a fully developed answer, is it? My advice would be, if you arrive early, then you get more rewards from being on time. That's not advice. You're talking about a benefit of being early. Still not a very well explained benefit, but it's not advice. What advice would you give to someone who's always late? Well, maybe change the time on your phone or change the time on your watch so that it's 5 minutes faster. That way you'll do things more quickly. Or maybe read some books on time management or watch some YouTube videos on time management, because nowadays there's lots of resources that are available. Also try to understand if there's some type of like underlying effect in your personality that is causing you to be late, and work through that. Those are all good pieces of advice rather than just explaining benefits.
You can waste. So like you would be viewed as a responsible person by a lot of people, and a lot of people will highly value you.
And do you think there are any ways that technology can help people to be on time more often?
Technology, actually, like there are some apps on my phone. There are some apps on App Store, Search Play.
Cool. I like that he recognized that he was speaking personally and then spoke impersonally. Good skill.
On that help us to kind of set a calendar.
Helps us to get upset calendar.
Help us to kind of set a calendar.
Upset means sad. So I don't know, help us to get upset calendar.
For
maybe helps us to set up a calendar.
An important meeting or important day. So I think it is. I mean, like technology has helped a lot of people to be punctual.
Yeah, but the question, maybe, the calendar is a good thing, but maybe talk about it a bit more. There's even things like, having an alarm clock or something like this, or setting a timer on your phone. Those are all good bits of technology that can help us to be more punctual.
And in what kind of jobs are time management skills important?
So the question here is, in what kind of jobs are time management skills important? And I think the candidate isn't going to answer very coherently.
Time management.
So I remember this, that he focuses on the time management aspects and starts talking about time management rather than the type of job. So, you could be all kinds of jobs. It's important to be on time, like especially if you're a taxi driver or a chauffeur, because, sometimes people rely on you to take you to where they need to go on time. And so if you're not on time, then your lateness affects other people's lives. So being a taxi driver, it's important to be on time. That's an example of the type of answer we might look for.
I think you can create a schedule, and then you're gonna kind of
So now he's talking about what people can do to improve their time management skills, I guess.
You can kind of assign each time for a specific task. So by doing that, you would, I think, hardly would you
By doing that, you will. That's very, very nice subordination. By doing that, you will
jump from one task to another task abruptly, and you can you have to complete this task, then you can before moving to another task. So I think it is a great way to manage your time.
Okay, thank you. That is the end of the test. All right, so giving scores for this will be interesting, I think. Sorry. Let's go down to some scores. All right, so fluency and coherence. There were some problems. It's strange. Problems in part 2 with fluency and coherence. The first part of part 3 was great with the coherence, and the end of part 3 was just a little bit weaker with fluency, with coherence. Fluency is definitely strong. The ability to maintain a flow of speech is very, very strong. But maybe there were just a few too many examples where he went off topic a bit too much. And so that's why I'm only going to award the 7. He's very close to the 8. Fluency is very strong throughout. Coherence is very strong in parts, but you lost some coherence in part 2 and towards the end of part 3. You are very, very close to the 8 in fluency and coherence. It's only that coherence part that's holding you back. Lexical resource. I don't think there's quite enough for the 9, but for sure there's enough for the 8. So you have an incredible incredible range of vocabulary. A lot of the words you use, phrases you use are very natural, and you show a good awareness of style and collocation. Cool. The language is very natural and doesn't sound rehearsed, so the way that you deliver it is also very good. Not quite enough for a full range, but how do we get from the 8 to the 9 in lexical resource? I don't think that's something worth focusing on right now. Grammatical range and accuracy. This is the most difficult one for me to choose, because let's take some notes first of all. Maybe it'll help me. So firstly, your range of grammar is great. You use a wide variety of sentences, complex, simple, but I really like the type of subordination. It's not just and but it's like, by doing this, you will So I really, really like the way that he sets up his sentences. It shows great, it shows really, really sophisticated skill. And structures. So, the different aspects: simple, continuous, perfect continuous is even used in there. Use of gerunds and infinitives is strong. However, you still make a lot of, not a lot, but you still make a noticeable number of mistakes with quite basic grammar. And for me, that's just the thing that holds me back from the 8. So I think it has to be a 7. Certainly if you remove those grammatical mistakes with the simple stuff like I were, it's a pity, because I know you know this stuff. It doesn't affect the meaning, but when we calculate like between 9, 8, 7, we have to make a decision between like most sentences are error-free, or a lot of sentences are error-free. And I don't know if I can say with confidence that, a significant majority of sentences didn't have mistakes, because I think a lot of sentences didn't have mistakes is a better description of your grammatical accuracy. Range is great. Range is fantastic, but accuracy just a little weak. Pronunciation, I think I have to give a 7 for this too. So in general, no, let's not go with in general. So let's start with the positives. Your intonation, connected speech, and sentence stress are all very good. You also have some phonological features that sound very natural. However, your accent is noticeable and, more importantly, sometimes affects how easy it is to understand you. So for band 8 in pronunciation, the examiner really shouldn't have to work at all to understand. It should be, almost effortlessly understood. But here I just noticed there are occasions where what did he say? Did he say what was that? So I had to do that a few times. So these are the scores that I give: 7, 8, 7, 7. So overall that gives us a score of 7.25, which rounds down, of course, to 7.0. Can he get to 7.5? Yes. Can he get to 8? Maybe, for sure. Points to work on. Firstly, I would say try not to go off topic too much with your answers. Always keep the question in mind. So just a few cases where he went off topic, and especially part 2, learn how to organize your part 2 talk a little better. Again, keeping the question in mind. And finally, try to avoid making the most basic grammar mistakes. With your complex grammar, you're very, very good. It's with that basic grammar where we get most of the mistakes. And so if you can fix that problem with coherence, you can get 8 for that, no problem. If you can fix that problem with the most basic grammar mistakes, then you can get to 8 for that. Vocab, you're already at an 8. So I expect 8, 8, 8, 7. I think pronunciation will be the one that's just, it's a stubborn problem. Learning how to extend our phonological range, or our range of phonological features. That can be a difficult thing to do. It's okay to have an accent, but we should be intelligible. We should be easily understood at all times for the highest levels. So overall 7. I really will be surprised if he gets less than 7.5 in the real test, but I won't be very surprised if he gets an 8, but my prediction is that he will get a 7.5 in the real test. Anyway, I hope that was useful. Let me know if you have any thoughts, if you have any comments. Of course, if you would like to have your own free practice speaking test, then please do get in touch with me. Also, if you would like me to check your writing, please get in touch with me. Information on how to contact me is given below. Please keep in mind that I get a lot of requests. I try to get back to as many people as I can, but please do be patient if you decide to contact me. But for now, I'll leave it there. Have a wonderful day, and bye-bye.